Hi, it's Jana Hansper here, and we're going to take a look at the really tricky guitar part in Sinister Footwear II by Frank Zappa. Sinister Footwear II appears on Frank Zappa's 1984 album MRS and features Steve Vai playing the guitar parts. Steve Vai started working for Zappa as a transcriber and later went on to join the touring bands between 1980 and 82. Some of Zappa's albums throughout the 1980s feature Steve Vai playing these very intricate and complicated guitar parts. So why is it tricky to play? Well, it's tricky to play because you have to change guitar techniques at the most inopportune times. For example, in phrase 1, it starts off relatively easy. It's a simple case of alternate picking across adjacent strings. You then have a downward sweep that outlines the G-sharp augmented arpeggio. But when you hit the E, it's a note reiteration before getting to the octave. Now, ordinarily, a guitar player who's sort of doing a downward sweep would follow it through. The note reiteration is fine, it can be done, but it interrupts the guitar technique somewhat. So that's the first kind of tricky part. After that, it goes into these string skips. This one descends by a major 7. And then it goes up a minor 6. Now generally, when you're playing these string skips, it's best just to use alternate picking, either a down, up, or up, down approach. It seems to be the best way to navigate these type of phrases. It's then followed by this shape. You have to go back on yourself. So you do the upward sweep, and then back to the B for a note reiteration again. And then a string skip down a minor 7th and then back up for note reiterations on the F sharp. Here we have another instance of note reiterations. So it throws it off a little bit. And in the third phrase, quite a lot of string skips there. Up a minor 7, down a major 7, up a 5th, down a minor 7, up a major 9. As a general rule, when you're playing these type of phrases, it's best to keep them within a few frets. I don't really recommend moving around too much. However, in the fourth phrase, you have to deviate a little bit from that rule. Particularly when you hit the B. That B goes down a minor 9th to B flat. And that just feels really cumbersome to play. So in this case, I'm going to move that B flat down here and play like this. And now I'm going to have to play the A natural with my little finger so that I can jump down a minor 15th from A to F sharp to get to that E. So it makes sense to play it that way. Just by using my little finger, I can get to the notes in time. Now, the other reason why these are very tricky to play is because of the rhythm. In the first phrase, the rhythm starts on the second semiquaver on the third beat. And then on the downbeat of the next bar, you've got a series of quintuplets. So you're fitting 5 semiquavers in the time of 4. Da 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 da, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. In the second phrase, the first note, the B, starts on the second beat, and on the third beat, on the second note of a quaver note triplet, you then go into the sextuplet, which starts on the beat 1 of the following bar. And then more quintuplets. What happens here with the septuplet and the quintuplet that follows immediately after the sextuplet, sorry, is this sense of deceleration. So there's that kind of pull with rhythmic space. Then the rhythm in the third phrase. You have 11 semiquavers played in the time of 12 over 3 beats. This again is followed by a series of quintuplets. And in the final one, on the third beat, you have a semiquaver septuplet. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. The same kind of rhythm that you hear in. It's 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 da 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 da. And then it's 10 quavers played in the time of 6 over 3 beats, which is kind of a tricky rhythm, especially because it's followed by 7 quavers played in the time of 4. The final thing I wanted to talk about was the melodic and harmonic relationships. The first chord is F sharp minor. Now these chords are derived from the orchestral score to Sinister Footwear II, where Zappa has written the chords but given individual notes to different instruments in the orchestra. So basically I've just looked at the score and copied the notes and played them on the guitar. The first note is a C natural, which is the sharp 4. And then he goes back to the sharp 4 again. So there's a real tinge there against that F sharp, that lush F sharp minor 9 chord. Actually, if you take all the notes of that phrase and reduce it to a scale, you get this, which is like an F sharp blues scale with an added second. Another thing I want to point out is that the first couple of notes of the phrase outline these minor third intervals that are a semitone apart. And this actually is a recapitulation of sorts from the main motif that happens at the very beginning of the orchestral piece. Now in the orchestral piece, it starts off with this kind of parody of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, and that's played by bass clarinets. And then develops into this main motif. This main motif is then repeated and distributed among the orchestral instruments. It's transposed and sort of varied. So I thought it'd be interesting to take it to the next step and just try and make chords of these, each part of the phrase. So in the first phrase, we've got those 2 minor thirds a semitone apart, A to C, and then A flat to C flat, which is like an A minor major 7 with an added 9. You then get the G sharp augmented, D13 over A. And there is a B sus over C sharp. So the chords in succession and if you listen to them over the F sharp minor tonality, sounds like this. that F sharp moves down a semitone. And all the other notes stay the same. And this creates the F Lydian sharp 2 chord. And in the phrase itself, again, that motif is recapitulated, but the notes are shuffled around. Then you have that. Now this section is quite interesting as well, because if you take all the notes and just treat them as pitch classes for a moment, you get A flat, G flat, F, E, E flat. So as pitch classes and reduced to one octave, you get A flat, G flat, F, E, E flat. It kind of sounds quite dull until you start displacing the notes, as Zappa does. And this is actually a characteristic of a lot of Zappa's melodies, where notes are displaced by octaves. It gives you this kind of jagged contour. Then it goes into this, implying the sort of D flat major pentatonic almost over the F Lydian sharp 2. I mean, all those notes, apart from the A flat, are outside the F Lydian sharp 2 scale. But it seems to work. It seems to work really well. And then the last note really emphasizes the F sharp. Which clashes obviously with the F in the bass there. In the fourth phrase, you get this G Lydian sharp 2 chord. Matter of fact, most of the notes in this phrase correlate with the G Lydian sharp 2 scale. It deviates from it when it hits the C natural, because obviously C natural is not in the G Lydian sharp 2 scale. So in each melodic phrase, there seems to be some correlation where notes relate to the underlying harmony and notes that bear no relationship to the harmony whatsoever. And it just works so well. I think that's why it sounds so fantastic, you know, and so unusual as well. And it really is an excellent example of breaking the rules, something that Zappa did a lot.